The second everyone assumed the story had gone cold, it erupted again. Not gradual, not subtle, instant chaos, like a precision-built explosion ripping through the foundations of hip-hop culture. The early signals were always there, faint at first, a whisper across timelines, a flyer drifting through social feeds, a caption so plain it barely registered until it suddenly did. Then, out of nowhere, the internet snapped into meltdown as what Remy Ma executed wasn't just a birthday party. It was a calculated cultural reset on display. And right at the center of it, a name nobody expected to be folded into her storyline this fast again: 50 Cent. To grasp why this hit like a shockwave, you have to go back into the history, the tension, and the carefully curated narrative the public had been fed for years. For over a decade, the idea of Remy Ma being publicly, even casually, aligned with 50 Cent's empire felt impossible. Not just unlikely, completely impossible. Too much history, too many egos, too many lines drawn firmly in the sand. Yet in 2026, one single Instagram tag was enough to shatter that entire illusion. It began with a flyer, clean, minimal, almost dangerously simple. A birthday celebration set inside Planet Hollywood Times Square, a venue that already carries weight on its own, but in this context, it carried something far heavier: ownership, influence, and strategic positioning tied directly into 50 Cent's expanding nightlife and entertainment empire. That's when the questions began flooding in. Why this specific venue? Why now at this exact moment? And more importantly, why him? Because make no mistake, Curtis Jackson doesn't move without intention. Every post, every tag, every public move sits inside a larger system designed to generate attention, leverage influence, and turn cultural moments into business power. And Remy Ma understands that, which is exactly why none of this felt random. This was alignment in its purest form, strategic, intentional, and timed with surgical precision. For years, Remy's narrative had been stuck in a repeating loop. No matter what she touched, music, business, appearances, the conversation still pulled her right back into personal drama, relationship talk, loyalty debates, and non-stop public speculation. And right at the center of that storm stood Papoose. Once hailed as the ultimate gold standard of loyalty in hip-hop, his public image has shifted in a major way over the past year. The narrative moved from perfect supportive partner to someone now increasingly seen as trying to control a story that was slipping completely out of his hands. That shift didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle, almost easy to miss, but impossible to deny in hindsight. And this birthday event felt like the exact moment everything suddenly snapped into focus. Because by picking that venue and tagging 50 Cent, Remy wasn't just throwing a celebration, she was sending a message, loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. And the industry absolutely felt it. The internet didn't just react to it, it unraveled in real time. Fans started piecing together dots that had been ignored for years on purpose. Old interviews, past tension, quiet business decisions moving in the background, it all resurfaced at once. Suddenly, what once looked like pure division started to resemble something far more calculated, a long-term setup playing out in real time. Because here's the uncomfortable truth the culture is now being forced to face. A lot of the beef people believed in was never as permanent as it looked. And the same people who built entire platforms off that division are now scrambling to adjust. Because moments like this expose something deeper about the industry machine. Real decisions don't happen on Twitter. They don't happen in interviews either. They happen behind closed doors with lawyers, executives, and power players who understand perception is just another asset to be controlled. As the night unfolded inside Planet Hollywood, the guest list only pushed the narrative further. Heavy hitters stepped through those doors one after another. Names like Fat Joe, Fabulous, and Jadakiss weren't just there to celebrate, they were witnesses. Witnesses to a shift in motion. A moment where old rules, loyalty, rivalry, separation were quietly being rewritten in real time. because their presence wasn't just attendance, it was a message without a single word spoken. This wasn't a party anymore, this was validation, and for some, it looked a lot like a quiet endorsement. Meanwhile, outside those velvet ropes, the digital world was already in full collapse. Comment sections went into overload, blog pages lit up with non-stop speculation, and the same voices that once swore this kind of connection would never happen, they either went silent or started quietly rewriting their own takes, because control of the narrative was gone. And once the internet slips like that, there's no clean way to pull it back. But the most interesting part of all of this isn't what we saw, it's what didn't happen, the silence. No immediate clapbacks, no public outrage, no dramatic countermoves, just nothing. And in this industry, silence is never empty. It means pressure, it means calculation, it means something is being prepared behind the curtain. And that alone only pushed the speculation even further, because behind the scenes, whispers started spreading fast, talk of a bigger deal, a multimedia expansion, maybe even a deeper role for Remy Ma inside 50 Cent's growing television empire, a space he's already built with aggressive precision and control. And if that rumor even holds weight, then this entire birthday narrative flips on its head, because suddenly this isn't a celebration, it's a rollout. A soft launch disguised as a social moment, a repositioning of Remy not just as an artist, but as a brand stepping into a completely different lane. And if there's one thing 50 Cent has mastered, it's turning controversy into straight-up currency. Which brings this whole situation into its real core. This was never about reconciliation. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't nostalgia. This was business. Cold, strategic, and high-level business. The kind that ignores old narratives and replaces them with opportunity, reach, and leverage. And whether people are ready to accept it or not, that's exactly where the culture is heading. Because in 2026, talent alone doesn't define relevance anymore. Positioning does. Who you align with matters just as much as what you create, and sometimes even more. Remy Ma didn't just choose a venue, she chose a direction for the future. And in doing that, she forced the entire industry to recalibrate in real time. Because the old story is breaking apart. The idea of permanent beef? Gone. The illusion of unbreakable loyalty lines? Completely shattered. And the people who built entire platforms off those illusions are now struggling to keep up with a conversation that moved past them overnight. As the night peaked and the music shook the walls of Planet Hollywood, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't chaos, it was choreography. Every move, from the flyer drop to the Instagram tag to the guest list, felt engineered for maximum impact. Because in a world where attention is currency, moments like this aren't accidents, they're investments. And based on the reaction, this one paid off immediately. The timeline is still buzzing, the theories are still expanding, and the silence from certain corners of the industry is only getting heavier, which means one thing is clear: this story isn't finished, not even close. Because if this is really the beginning of a larger play, then what we just saw wasn't the main event. And history already shows us something about Remy Ma and 50 Cent. They don't show up just to participate, they show up to win.